What's up guys, Matchstick Gamer here. If you like the video and the contents within it, plus everything else on my channel, please hit that subscribe button, I greatly appreciate it. With that said, let's get on to the video. What's up guys, Matchstick Gamer here, and today's video topic is going to be a little different from my usual videos I post. It's still going to be Dragon Ball related, but not entirely. Essentially, what is going to happen today in this video is me explaining why canon is important to the Dragon Ball series, and to go and just explain a few other things along the way, and we'll get into it as we go. So first, I guess I want to cover something very important. To those of you out there using the words of canon and non-canon as substitutes for hate and like, stop it. That is wrong. That is not what continuity is made for. That is not what those words are made to be used for. If you dislike something in the Dragon Ball fandom, that's perfectly fine, but do not sit there and hate on it simply because it is non-canon, or canon either for that matter. Like it because maybe the characters were developed badly in the series, plot holes, inconsistencies, things like that, but don't sit there and use canon, non-canon as words to substitute for like and hate. Okay? That said, before we go any further, if you like things that are canon in the series, that's fine. And if you like things that are non-canon in the series, that is also fine. Okay, going forward, let me be clear. Officially speaking, Toriyama Sensei, which is a person I consider to be the end-all be-all in regards to Dragon Ball stuff, has never officially come forward and said that this is the official quote-unquote canon. Yes, there have been a bunch of publications and things like that made. You know, like Toei released a series of books called the, I believe, Daizenshu, if I remember correctly, which is basically like a series of encyclopedic-based books that cover all sorts of things about Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, GT, etc., etc., etc. And they have a timeline in there, but let me be clear, timelines do not equate out to canon, okay? The timeline's just there to establish when these events throughout the series took place, possibly. But I digress on that subject. So, anyways, canon is important to a series for various reasons, but before I go into that, let me establish where canon started. So this is going to get a little historical, so bear with me, and I am going to be paraphrasing a lot of things, so if you want to know the full details, it doesn't take too much effort to Google this information, okay? So a long time ago, back before the Bible as we know it today was made, the Catholic Church came into being, and the Pope at some point decided, you know what, I want to make a big book, aka the Bible, that has all these books in it that basically detail the historical information of what happened in our religion. Basically, you know, the creation of everything up to the point of Revelations and such. Well, there were a series of other books, and basically the Pope sat there and said that all these books right here, these are canon. The rest of these, they're non-canon. It's heretic stuff. Don't worry about it. So, those books didn't make it into the Bible. The Bible is the continuity of the Christianity religion, essentially, if you get that. However, it didn't start being used by fandoms like the Dragon Ball community, for example, until people started debating over, you know, how can this happen when he or she, whatever the character is over here doing this, but clearly at the same time they were also doing this. And the character has no established ability to be there at multiple places at once doing these things. Things like this have been discussed in fandoms such as the Sherlock Holmes novels fandom, James Bond novel fandoms, and a bigger example, the Doctor Who fandom. If you're familiar with that series, it's actually a very good show. Check it out if you haven't watched it. Anyways, it's always been debated amongst fandoms, so don't sit there and think that the Dragon Ball community is not the only group that debates on continuity. And the thing is, we're all never going to truly agree on what is and is not canon. And at the end of the day, if you want to sit there and be true hardcore end all be all and everything, then ultimately the only thing that really is canon, if you want to get down to it, is the original 42 volume manga, or 1 through 16 Dragon Ball, 1 through 26 Dragon Ball Z, if we're talking the American publication of the manga. Or if you want to be even more anal about it, then specifically only the Japanese version of the manga. But truthfully speaking, again, there is no official canon established by Toriyama himself, and odds are there may never be. Now, I could be entirely wrong about this. I mean, it's quite possible that, for all we know, tomorrow, Toriyama could come forward and say that this is canon, this is not canon, you don't like it, too bad. Not necessarily worded like that, but something along those lines. But I don't see him doing that. And Toriyama's the only person I'll truly accept saying that, because I wouldn't accept Toei saying that, and I wouldn't accept Toyotaro saying that either. No disrespect to Toei Animation and their work, and no disrespect to Toyotaro and his involvement in the series either. I respect both of them equally. It's just that whenever it comes to the creator versus these two people, I'm sorry, I'm going to creator. He kind of supersedes whatever they want to say and or do, in my personal opinion and point of view. And I would like to think that everybody here agrees. Now, other fandoms debate about continuity too. There's the Star Wars fandom, which, let's be honest, like it or not, I personally preferred a lot of the non-canon material on the Star Wars stuff, but thanks to Disney coming through with their new movies, which I'm not saying are terrible, by the way, let's be clear. It's just that thanks to those movies, all the extended universe stuff from the books, you know, the novels and all that's non-canon now, which is kind of sad because I actually enjoyed a lot of the characters in the extended universe and the development those characters had. It was very interesting. There were a lot of interesting stories. I think would have made some great movies, but what can you do, right? Anyways, but continuity is important to explain away inconsistencies or explain why a character is over here doing this, but they're also over here doing this in conceivably the exact same time. In comic books, they can get away with this because they've already pretty much established, both in DC and Marvel, it's just happening in another universe. It's that simple. With Dragon Ball, it's not like that. We've already established how their multiverse works, and Dragon Ball's been limited to this. You have 12 universes, and we have a basic concept of how they work. I actually made a video on how I believe they work. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check that out. Anyways, shameless plug on my own channel. Anyways, so essentially it wouldn't work in the same way because there's just too few universes for it to work. You could go the timeline route, but then they would have to explain who or what went back in time to change the events to make it play out that way. And even then, it would be a bunch of alternate timelines for Universe 7. So, you see where I'm going with this. Anyways, whenever it comes to continuity in Dragon Ball, ultimately, this is what I believe is canon, and I've made plenty of videos of talking about what I think is canon, and I hope this will be the last one, but ultimately, it's the original manga, and that can ultimately be the end-all be-all right there, but if I want to go a step further, so, as I said, the original manga, then we got tie-in stuff like Jocko the Galactic Patrolman, which takes place before the events of the original manga, and is written by Toriyama himself, of course. Yo Son Goku and His Friends Return, which takes place approximately, I believe, 2 years or so before the events of Battle of Gods in both the movie and in Super. Speaking of movies, of course, we're talking about Resurrection F and Battle of Gods as well, which is covered by Super, so there's that. And of course, the rest of Super itself is canon. And I said the anime for Super is specifically the correct canon in that regard. In fact, I made a video on that talking about it. If you don't believe me, go check it out. Toriyama's involvement in Super is a little different, and frankly, how I view it at this point, since Toriyama is getting to be an old man, and I feel really bad. I mean, he's 61 years old, but I'm glad he's still trying to keep everybody that enjoys his work entertained to the best of his abilities. But Toriyama's involvement is minimal. Whenever it comes to Super, it's not as bad as it was with GT, where basically he only did a few character designs for like the first season of GT, and then had nothing to do with story or anything like that. He didn't even design Super Saiyan 4. And if you don't believe me, I believe either Black and Fist or maybe it was Geekdom. I can't remember which other DBZ YouTuber, but one of the bigger DBZ YouTubers, much bigger than myself, made a video explaining who created Super Saiyan 4, the artist pretty much, and it was not Toriyama. I can assure you it is not Toriyama. Anyways, with Super, Toriyama basically writes a outline, if you will, a outline manuscript of sorts, and there are some fill in the blank areas that he basically leaves for Toei Taro and Toei Animation to sit there and go, okay, we're gonna put this and this and this written in here. However, as I've said, whenever it comes to one guy versus a group of people adamantly discussing and figuring out what Toriyama may have meant here or meant here or wanted here, I'm going to go with a large group of people versus the one guy over here. Again, no offense to Toei Taro on the manga. Anyways, but whenever it comes to canon, canon's simply important just because it's there to explain away inconsistencies and things that don't make sense. Don't get me wrong, in the original 42-volume manga, there are a ton of, not a ton, but there are some inconsistencies and a few plot holes in there, here and there. It's nothing to sit there and cry about, granted, but I mean, you know, it's sort of like the Trunks Hair thing, the future Trunks Hair. Geekdom actually made a video talking about this. Go check out his video if you haven't. And I adamantly stated, I've repeated basically what he said multiple times, that it's just a Toriyama inconsistency. He's never been consistent about Trunks' hair. Somebody on a Facebook fan group I'm in tried to say that, oh, well, logically, it's because as you get older, your hair changes color, but there was no in-universe evidence to support that, being as Toriyama screwed up Trunks' hair multiple times, and now that we've seen the preview for the next episode, which, spoiler alerts ahead, there is a flashback of when Trunks finds future Gohan's dead body after being killed by the androids, and Trunks' hair is the same shade of blue as it is right now, which, as we know, is not true. Trunks' hair is actually purple. Anyways, so you see that's an inconsistency, but canon is there to explain away inconsistencies, plot holes, things like that, and just overall things that don't make sense. So again, to those of you that are using the words canon and non-canon as substitutes for hate and light, please stop that. And to those of you out there that are sitting there hating on people to bring up canon, we bring up canon for a reason, folks. It's just so people don't get confused. The fandom is always talking about, like, wait, why is Broly not here or something like that? It's because Broly's non-canon. And it explains why, you know, like, certain characters are never seen or heard from again. It's because they're non-canon. It's just that simple, folks. So, again, if you enjoy something that's non-canon in the series, that's fine. There's lots of things that are non-canon in the series. That I enjoy. Certain filler moments, certain movies, etc., etc. But, you know, I don't know what else to say here, but, yeah, again, officially speaking, there is no official canon, okay? If you want to be hardballing here, there's no official canon, and if you want to say that there's only one true canon, end-all, be-all, then arguably it's the original Japanese print of the manga. End of discussion there. But I've elaborated on what I feel is canon based on evidence I can compile together and such. And frankly, I don't think this debate over continuity will ever end in the community, but at the very least, to those of you out there that are into thinking about canon in the series and take this series that we enjoy seriously, thank you for doing so. But to those of you out there using canon and non-canon as substituting for the words of hate and light, stop. And to those of you out there that are sitting there calling people that discuss canon as cancer, you stop that too. That is messed up. This, I'm sure you had a bad experience with somebody that used canon and non-canon improperly, and I'm sorry you did, but don't sit there and think that everybody that talks about continuity is a canon Nazi or something like that. Canon is just there to explain away issues in the series. And ultimately, with canon and Dragon Ball, we'll never be able to fully explain away things. In fact, there are just some inconsistencies that you just come to accept and realize, big deal, it's there, it's nothing to cry about, like Trunks' hair. Yeah, a bunch of people complained about it. Frankly, me, I just looked at it. Oh, it's another inconsistency. Big deal. Toriyama weren't thinking about it or something. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not Toriyama. I don't go into his mind and poke around, okay? Anyways, this video went on a little longer than I thought, but what do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you want to add some things on to what I said? Or perhaps, there are some other things you want to discuss? Leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. I greatly appreciate it. Anyways, make sure to like, rate, comment, subscribe. Check out the official Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch pages all linked down below per usual in the description of this video. And, yeah, pretty much covers everything. Thank y'all. Peace. Dragon Ball Z / Kai, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super are all owned by Fuji TV, Toei Animation, Funimation, and Akira Toriyama. I do not claim to own any of these. The video and any images that appear were used under fair use.